All right, so you have your article, and you're looking at your items that you chose, your questions that you chose. For us, it was, what strategies can families use to limit screen time? What is an appropriate age to expose children to technology? And how does screen time cause isolation and impact social skills? I have changed that to just, what is the impact of screen time, especially after I read this article. So I will be honest, the first part of this article, which I didn't realize, talks about inappropriate websites that children may get to when they're on their screens, that their parents aren't aware that they are looking at. So I highlighted some things I thought were interesting or important or that could help me, and then I transfer that to my notes. So when you are writing your notes, I want you to put who the authors are and the title of the article at the top, so that way you know which article you're referring to. I only want you to take 4 notes per source. That's it, just 4. So make sure that they're worthwhile. You can use them in your paper, but I'm not trying to kill you with taking notes, okay? 1 will be a direct quote. The other 3 will be you summarizing a section or paraphrasing a sentence, because you'll use very few quotes in your paper. You might use 1 per paragraph, and then you're using some summary or paraphrasing. So I chose a quote from the beginning that said, "Screens are commonplace and even necessary, with much of our work and schooling reliant on the internet." And I didn't have room down here, but I went on ahead and put my citation. That way when I go to type this, I already have the citation. I don't have to try to figure it out later. A little more work on the front end will help you later. But then write, why did you write this note? Explain how it supports your argument or the counterclaim, and what essential question does it help answer. So I put, this can be used as an introduction to a counterclaim, because this basically says, you know, screens, the internet, they're such a big part of our lives now. Like, they're in everything that we do. And for some families, that's the way they connect with family members. That's the way they schedule things. It's just hard not to have them. So for me, I'm going to use that in my counterclaim. Next, I took a couple of paragraphs and condensed them down. Inappropriate sites can harm relationships and family life. And that was one of the things you guys talked about last week, how you have siblings who want to go in their rooms and stay on their phones or stay on their computers all the time. And Gene said he wants to kick his younger sibling out and make them go outside and do some other stuff. So this information can go in this section about the impact of screen time on children. It details the emotional impact, so that harm to the relationships and family life. Next, inappropriate sites, according to this article, can cause brain damage, like they've physically scanned children's brains, and they said it looks like brains when they're on drugs, when there's substance abuse. Again, I could put that in the impact of screen time section. The brain can be damaged, much like damage from substance abuse. And then finally, when the brain is overstimulated, like you're looking at the same type of negative stuff over and over again, there's a domino effect, because then that part of your brain that is supposed to help with self-control, it can't. Your brains aren't fully developed yet. So it just keeps wanting more and more and more of whatever the negative stuff is that you're looking at. And they advocate that the brain is actually rewired, because your brains are still developing. In fact, and this is where I got kind of sidetracked, the prefrontal cortex right up here is not even fully developed until the mid to late 20s. That's the part of your brain that impacts choices that you make, risk that you take, and that's not even fully developed until you're in your mid to late 20s. So if you're looking at all kinds of inappropriate or negative stuff when you're really young, it's going to be very hard to rewire your brain, because it's fresh, it's ready for all the learning, and it can't do that if it's constantly negative. So that is one set of notes from one article, and that's it. That's all I want you to do. You'll find another article and do the same thing. 4 sets of notes. Okay? So your task today is to find an article. It could be the opposing side, because you have to have at least one for the opposing side. It could be the side you're on. Some of you may get through 2 today, but I want you to have 2 articles from this points of view database. Okay?
Except for 1 point.
Mm-hmm. So if you were out on Friday, I have a video linked for that. If you need help and you can't get to me because I'm working with somebody else one-on-one, I have a link to the video on going to EBSCO and doing your citations. Okay? I will add this video in just a few minutes.